Okay, we have the motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Jim, seconded by...
Just you and I, Brian.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know it was just you and I. Okay.
Seconded by Brian. All in favor? Minutes of the previous meeting, September 7th, 2022. Motion to approve. Moved by Jim, seconded by Brian. All in favor? Carried. Any conflict of interest, pecuniary interest disclosure? Okay, consent items. OPP report, July to September 2022.
Can you try Frank's?
There you go.
Okay, perfect. There we are. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My apologies for that small technical difficulties. So just taking you to page 1 of the report, just like to highlight a few things. I'd like to highlight just at the beginning of the report, and I will certainly highlight that several more times, that we've seen a significant increase in our traffic safety activities, particularly along the 138. So the OPP, in response to some concerns from a group of citizens voiced by the former MPP about the safety that was occurring on the 138, we really stepped up our traffic enforcement activities, and we've seen a significant decrease, not only in collisions on the highway during this quarter, but we've also seen a significant decrease in overall traffic complaints and in driver compliance. And we're seeing compliance through those proactive traffic safety activities. We're just seeing an overall decrease in traffic stops. We have employed some of the tools the OPP has available that not every service has available. So our aviation unit has been down on multiple occasions, both the plane and the helicopter, to provide us with assistance in monitoring traffic, along with ground units, and we've been very successful. We were very happy once again to see the summer months come and a return to the festivals. We were very successful at deploying our officers and really getting them out in the community and all the festivals and fairs throughout the community. Highlighted obviously by the biggest festival being the Highland Games. We can report that everyone was very well behaved at the Highland Games. Our officers really had a great time interacting with the community. This was the first year that I can recall, or any previous detachment commander could recall, that at the Highland Games we did require, or the Games Committee did go outside the OPP to provide some additional policing services. So the Cornwall Community Police Service on the Saturday did provide us, or was contracted out by the Highland Games community, and they came in and supported the OPP for the policing that we provided at the games. It went off without a single hitch. The officers that they sent up were all actually live in the counties, so they've all been to the games. They all understand, and there was the feedback that we received not only from the public but from the Games Committee was all very positive. Taking you over to page 11 of the report, I would just like to highlight 3/4 down the page, staffing updates. Staff Sergeant Simon Hardy was promoted to the rank of Inspector, Detachment Commander in Leeds County. I know that he was the interim Detachment Commander for SDG. He's also been a Staff Sergeant here, and he has had his entire Before being promoted to Leeds County, his entire career was spent policing the United Counties of SDG. I'd simply like to recognize the outstanding policing and community service that Simon has provided to the citizens of SDG. He has been a staple in this community. He's worked extremely hard, and certainly he will be a force that we will absolutely miss, but we are very proud of him for taking that next step, and we know that the citizens of Leeds County will only benefit from his leadership. On page 12, and this is probably, this I do have some concerns with, you will see at the top of the page that our fatal count year to date has more than doubled. Has almost doubled from previous years. I did do an analysis of the potential causal factors. Were there any roadways any roadways that we were particularly seeing? Unfortunately, between this year's results and last year's results, the year to date, there is not one single roadway or location where we are having consistent problems. Where we are seeing the biggest factors that are playing into these fatal motor vehicle collisions are alcohol related and speed related, which is surprising to me, Mr. Chair, because we've seen a 30% increase in our traffic safety related occurrences. As you recall, last January I pledged to the board that I wanted to see a 15% increase in overall traffic safety related current activities by the and that my measure of that success was by the personal injury and fatal motor vehicle collisions that occurred in our area. And even though we are up more than 30% year to date in those proactive traffic safety activities, so traffic stops, ride programs, and education and public education programs, we're still seeing an increase in those activities. Now, I have reached out to other detachments along with the provincial traffic operations, and this is a trend that is happening right across the province. So, but we are certainly not immune. So we as an organization, but more particularly we as a detachment, recognize that this is certainly a problem and a trend that we absolutely have to start to focus on reducing. So we are very cognizant of it, and we will certainly be increasing our efforts once again to make sure. Taking you over to page 14, please disregard on the top left where you see Criminal Code, Non-Traffic, and Liquor License Act traffic. Please discard those comparison numbers there. They are, there's an error in the reporting system where I draw my data from. Those are inaccurate numbers. When I punched them into the system and saw those wild variations, I did ask, and I did a little more checking. Unfortunately, yeah, there's a problem with the system not having properly registered all of the charges that we were laying. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to certainly highlight once again that on the proactive traffic activities, our ride programs are up 65% and our traffic stops are up 28%. Year to date, Mr. Chair, with regards to the traffic-related charges that have been laid, last year when I reported back to the board in January, we were just over 3,900. This year we are already at 5,400 year to date, so a significant increase, and that puts us more than 30% up. On page 15, Mr. Chair, I'll just take you over to have stolen goods in the property crime section. The have stolen goods is related to recovered stolen motor vehicles that we continue to regularly see come through our area. Last week alone, we recovered 8 stolen vehicles out of the Greater Toronto area in our area. Unfortunately, when those vehicles are recovered in our recovered area, we do have to categorize them, so they do count against our overall statistics. When I take you over to page 18 as well, you will see an increase in theft of motor vehicles in our area. So this is a provincial trend that is going right across the province. You may have heard in Ottawa, they have year to date, they have 1,500 stolen vehicles. City of Toronto is above 7,000, and every municipality across the city of Cornwall has been hit as well. So the trend of motor vehicle thefts by organized crime groups, particularly emanating from the Greater Toronto area and Montreal, is a interprovincial problem that the OPP and its policing partners are addressing at the highest levels. But as I'm sure you can appreciate, when these high-level multi-force operations get going, sometimes it takes some time to see the results. So what you are seeing there is you are seeing an increase in that we are recovering these stolen vehicles, but really we're not cutting the head of the snake off to stop the problem. We're just picking off the runners that are coming through at the United Counties on the 401. Barring any other questions, having gone through my report thoroughly, I don't have anything else to report on for this quarter.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion to receive the report. Moved by Brian, seconded by Jim. All in favor? Carried. Municipality of East Ferris Police Services Board resolution.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is just for information. It was sent to us by the municipality of East Ferris. We are doing some research behind the scenes. An information report went to council this past year on this matter, so we'll be giving an update to the new council in 2023.
Thank you. 2023 draft budget.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. If you turn to page 29 in your agenda package, I can walk you through the draft budget today. Starting at the top, you'll notice revenue. These are our standard revenue items that we've put in for 2023. The provincial funding line is that victim services grant that the OPP was successful in receiving last year. Everything else is standard in that section. And then moving down to Police Services Board expenses, if you look to the alarm program line, we're now moving into year 3 of the 3-year program. It's going very well. Our alarm program coordinator is working remotely at home with myself, checking in with myself and with the OPP regularly. It's continuing on the program well. That amount also includes wages for that part-time position, mileage, training, office supplies, and equipment and internet. In terms of wages, we have applied a 6.6% CPI increase to this draft budget, but that could change. That could go down in December. Before 2023, we will be bringing that to the new council to have a discussion and a decision on what CPI the adjustment will be. Moving on to the OPP contract amount, you'll notice that there was a decrease. It's a good news story. We have a decrease of $231,423 in our contract for 2023. That's reflected in the overall budget. Police Services Board expenses, this also includes board wages, mileage, meeting and conference expenses, and office supplies. Equipment, you'll notice in 2022, we had a figure in there that's for the defibrillators that Inspector Hemrick spoke to. It's back down to 0 for 2023. Memberships, legal, and audit fees. This includes our various PSB memberships, including the OAPSB and our audit fees here at the county. And the community initiatives amount, it's the standard $5,000 amount for the board to spend in 2023 to various community organizations throughout SDG. So overall, there is a decrease moving into 2023, and the treasurer here at the county has also applied the standard surplus amount of $120,000 to the PSB budget to reduce overall budget costs. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Jim?
Just through you, through the chair rather, but what's the long-term strategy on the RN ride-along program? We're continuing to support it, obviously, but at one time there was talk that we were going to have a strategy that was going to solidify the funding for the foreseeable future. Is that still in play?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it is. Mark is coming to County Council, the new council, in December to speak to the program, present on it, and make a request again for 2023. But Mark, did you want to give an update on potential funding opportunities?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so as I spoke last year to the board, so a comprehensive business plan and report was developed. There was a slowdown in developing the overall program because after consultations with the ministry, because Cornwall Community Hospital, their mental health services don't just provide mental health services to the residents of SDG, but they also provide them to Akwesasne and Cornwall. The advice that we were given by the ministry was to link up with Cornwall Police and combine our data. That we would be, if we provided joint data, we would be providing greater information and be able to solidify our point from a position of strength. That report was delivered to Health East and through the ministry. The ministry has come back to us and said that for the time being, they are not looking at further funding proposals. So what CCH currently receives is what they will receive. The reason behind that is with the mental health enhancement grant that came from SolGen. They are waiting until fiscal 23-24 to look at the data received by all the police services that got that grant to see what the enhancement actually does. I know that doesn't help our cause because we were already providing data based on, the $120,000 that was paying for the RN that is currently in the program. But on the good news case is that the data we are collecting with the enhancement, because we've increased our coverage times with greater staffing and greater time, is that we're seeing total numbers come down in totality. So, and we're reporting that back to the ministry. I'll be reporting back to the ministry for Monday, actually, about the enhancement grant. So we are very hopeful that once the ministry reviews that total data, that we will be able to get them to agree to not only for the one FTE they provide the hospital for that's split between Cornwall and OPP, but that they will increase that to 1.5 FTEs. So that would completely cover what Cornwall Police has currently, and it would completely complement what we have, taking away that $120,000 ask from the county council. I know that our outgoing CAO is currently outgoing and will be outgoing. A new CAO will be installed, and that our current contract does not. The current contract with the municipality, or pardon me, with the counties, currently does not account for any enhancements. Part of my conversation, Mr. Chair, with the new county council and the CAO will be not behind OPP enhancements, but my point will be that we see this as our enhancement. So it's good investment in your dollar, right? Because you're not only investing in the care in the healthcare system, but it's like giving the OPP enhancement, because what you're doing is through that program, the efficiencies that we see, the calls for service that we see reduced, we're putting that back into those proactive policing activities that I talked about. So it is really good dollar value, and that is the plan.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just a comment on it, and I think everybody is fully supportive of the program, and I mean the visible impact of this has been nothing but a success. But I think that there's also opportunity here for the hospitals to identify the benefits that they've received because of the diversion that's not going through the emergency rooms anymore, that, you know, it's been a proactive approach. So the report, to me, would be stronger if the hospitals could identify how they've benefited from it as well. And ultimately, it doesn't matter where the funding comes from. I think it's the fact that we just want it sustained for the immediate future. Thank you.
Any questions, Brian?
Fully support that program. You know, I think it's a great thing, and we've started, and I want to continue that for sure. I fully support it.
Okay, we have a motion to endorse and recommend the budget to council. Moved by Jim, seconded by Brian. All in favor? Carried. Solicitor General letter SDG Detachment Board Framework. Did you want to say anything, Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. The inspector and I were chatting about this before the meeting. Yeah, it's you know, I think it's an endorsement by the province that the model that we followed for many years is appropriate and is one. I'm blowing our own horn here, but with the structure that we've set up 20 years ago is a good structure, and we don't have to make any changes to our board going forward for next year. So I think the biggest challenge for the board will be getting the province to make whoever their appointments are going to be, because the structure is going to be the same: 2 members of county council, 1 member appointed by county council, and two members appointed by the province. So we'll see how long it takes the province to appoint members to the board. Thank you.
No correspondence. Under new business, well, it's not really new business, but I've decided that this is going to be my last meeting. I think I've been on the Police Services Board for 22 years, kind of a record. I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it, especially hiring inspectors. That was a lot of fun. And the OPP and the county have always been very cooperative, and I'm not sorry I stayed there for 22 years, but I think it's time for somebody else to take over, so this will be it for me. Thank you. Tim?
That's a good segue, Mr. Chair. This is also my last Police Services Board meeting, almost 12 years, and I think it was detachment commanders going back to Dave Springer, so not as long as you've been around, but yeah, I've certainly enjoyed this board, working with not only the board but with the various detachment commanders throughout the year. I think we have a great relationship with our law enforcement partners here in the county, and I would hope that would continue with the new board and the new CAO. So I've enjoyed it every minute of it. So thank you very much, and we'll see everybody sometime.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would simply like to say, on behalf of the OPP and the entire detachment, I would like to thank you yourself for 22 years of very dedicated service. Obviously, you are the one. You were a major factor in myself being promoted to inspector and the detachment come down here. So I thank you very much for that. You've seen a wide variety of detachment commanders who've brought different leadership styles and different things to the area. But certainly you have been steadfast in your role and sitting on the board, and we've been very lucky to have you sitting on the Police Services Board. On Mr. CAO, I've highly enjoyed, I know I've only been here for 18 months as the detachment commander, but I've also highly enjoyed working with you. You're a very pragmatic and easy guy to get along with. So, and I hope that whoever sits in your chair next, and for the entire board as it was reappointed for 2023, that the working relationship that we have had and will only continue. So thank you very much to yourself, Mr. Chair, and Mr. CEO for everything.
Jim?
I guess I'll round out the announcements. So 4 years seems relatively insignificant. That being said, thoroughly enjoyed it and highly advocate this opportunity for the next council coming forward, that it continues to give you faith in how everything is intertwined and how it works, and you can't really appreciate the complexity of the world we're working in right now without these kind of experiences. So thank you, and I know Dennis isn't retiring, he's just diverting his energy into somewhere that's more related to his business, so we'll look forward to seeing where that plays. Thank you.
Brian?
Yes, I served on the Ontario Provincial Police Board for many years over the years, and I think the whole time, yes, you were chair, and I just want to thank you for your dedication and your commitment over the years, and also Tim as well. You both are going to be very well missed for sure. And sorry to see you go. And the thing is, on the other side, I want to wish you everything the best. And, I know you'll never retire, Dennis. And Tim, you'll probably be very busy with your sports and things you do.
See me around.
I know you're going to enjoy it, but just sorry to see you go, and you'll be missed for sure. You'll be missed. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And I guess as a final note, Mr. CAO, I guess I was even on the hiring committee whenever you came along. You were just a shy young fellow there 12 years ago. And
Yeah, you were, Mr. Chair, yes, I remember that very well. You've had a hand in all the detachment commanders. You also had a hand in bringing me on board, so thank you very much.
very good. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Jim, seconded by Brian. All in favor? Carried.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Brian.
Thank you.
Record for a quick meeting.
Did you want to do a photo?